There are so many radio stations in the volunteer state that take community service so seriously and on a daily basis give and give and give. Let's go up the road a few miles to Nashville. Several 100,000
Lightning 100.
I thought the deal was I was going to point at you and then you were going to play it.
WRLT is the Luther winner.
Lightning 100, Nashville's longest-running independent station, has been serving the Nashville community for over 27 years. Our AAA music format may be niche, and our 3,000-watt signal and staff may be small, but these things have not held us back on the breadth of our community outreach and service. From helping thank our local veterans,
Happy Veterans Day, Corporal Phillips of the United States Marine Corps. We love you.
to encouraging the community to adopt a family in need for the holidays.
This season, get behind the shield with Lightning 100 and Carvana and give the gift that counts. Simply drop new toys or clothes for the children and elderly who don't get adopted during the Salvation Army's Angel Tree program.
In 2017 alone, Lightning 100 aired over 83,000 minutes dedicated to local artists and community organizations.
Today, Lightning 100 is turning Giving Tuesday into Giving Food Day with Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. Celebrate this National Day of Giving by donating to Second Harvest's virtual food drive and provide much-needed food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar you give will be matched dollar for dollar and provide 8 meals to hungry children.
Through our Community Engagement Department, we organized over 100 events and volunteer opportunities for our listeners to help us sort food, collect toys.
It's time to get out the Festivus pole from the crawl space and leave your worries behind as we celebrate the 5th annual Festivus Charity Show benefiting the mission of the Salvation Army with St. Paul and the Broken Bones.
Clean our waterways, plant trees, give blood.
This holiday season, the American Red Cross and Lightning 100 are encouraging everyday heroes to give more life by giving the gift of a blood or platelet donation. The Holiday Hero Blood Drive is today.
Paint schools and raise funds and resources for the homeless community.
Nothing's better than having a blast while raising funds for a great cause like the Community Resource Center. Join Lightning 100's Tom Hansen at Tailgate Brewery on Charlotte Avenue tonight for an Oyster Easter fundraising celebration. Starting at 6 p.m., come play games with...
We've shared knowledge with teachers and students.
If you love music, food, and fun, then there's only one place to be on Saturday, May 6th.
It's Procon Entertainment Magnet High School's 4th Annual Spring Festival. PC Get Lifted.
Helped provide 5.6 million meals to the hungry and helped raise millions of dollars for 781 nonprofits. 2.5 million in one day.
WRLT Franklin Nashville Lightning 100 is partnering with the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee for the Big Payback, a 24-hour online day of giving to support over 700 local charities.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Gary Crane and Keith Coles from WRLT Radio Lightning 100.
Thank you. I want to thank the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame for this award. Obviously, it's means something to us. After watching that video of Luther, I did a little research on him and realized that I thought we were in the business for a long time. Our station's been going on for 28 years. Started in 1990. It's a locally owned and operated station. But then when I see someone going 70 years, I think, well, we're just beginning. And so, the pressure's on us, I guess. We've been lucky enough to be recognized for community service in the last couple of years by the National Association of Broadcasters, which was an awesome recognition. Oftentimes, people do things for awards. We didn't even know these awards existed. We were just doing things every day one of our initiatives was to give back to the community, and it certainly has given back to us. I'd like to thank Lester Turner, our owner, who has given us the ability to do what we do every day. You all know what it's like to be a small station. We're a station in Nashville, a 3,000-watt tower, a land of, we're David in a land of Goliath, so we have a lot of pressure, but we continue to do it. We have an amazing staff. Keith Coes, everybody in the room knows Keith Coes. I didn't know this. One of the things about our station is we have longevity in people that work there. I've been there 22 years. Keith has been there 26. Yeah, the station's only been going on for 28 years, so we have quite a few people that are there for that. We want to thank the staff. Every day they roll their sleeves up, put the boots on the ground to make us worthy of this award. I want to take it back to the staff, to our nonprofit partners, our business partners, and our engaged audience. Our listeners are the ones that really do the hard work to make Nashville a better place. So thank you. We don't take this award lightly. We know it's the first time it's been awarded, so we hope that we are an example to stations after us, and we'll continue to do what we can to help Nashville and Tennessee. Thank you.
And it has been my pleasure to serve as your president for almost 2 years. My time here is done tonight. My term, well, that's who's really counting? It's only a month, 26 days, and 4.5 hours. Let's get the show underway, folks. I need some help. Let's do it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
At the front door, I can hear them knocking. Your mama's on the phone and she feels like talking. There's chicken on the barbecue, and don't worry about it, baby. Just drop what you're doing, 'cause they're playing our song on the radio. Okay, Mr. DJ had a way to go. Coming on strong. Dance with me, darling. They're playing our song. Oh, the house needs cleaning. The grass needs mowing. We've both got places that we need to be going. Tomorrow's a big day. Better get ready, but tonight it's just you and me, rockin' steady, 'cause they're playing our song on the radio. Okay, Mr. DJ had a way to go. 1,000,000 watts of love power coming on strong. Dance with me, darling, they're playing our song.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our MC for the evening, 2017 Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame, the one, the only, Dave Brown.
Thank you, everyone. It is terrific to be here with you tonight. Let me tell you, a year ago I was standing on this stage receiving one of the greatest honors of my career. Tonight, I am so pleased to be here as we induct the 2018 class of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. You know, when I worked in radio, I was blessed because radio was 2% work and 98% fun. Let's try to make tonight 2% work and 98% fun. Everybody just have a good night. We have some great stories to show you here tonight. I think you're going to enjoy all of this, and just kind of sit back, relax, reminisce if you used to work in radio. If you still work in radio, then we celebrate with you. We're going to begin tonight with the legacy category. Now, this is where we honor the broadcasters who have passed away, but not before they left their mark on Tennessee radio and Tennessee radio history. In this one category alone, we have both individual station owners as well as network owners, men who created countless jobs in their respective communities and provided a huge economic impact in this state. They launched programs in some cases that are still being heard even today. For those family members of our legacy category inductees, please know that your individual families have made such a huge impact on the radio and television industries. Now, even though many of you grew up in the radio business, it may be hard for you to fully grasp the extent of what your family members accomplished. They set the stage for many of us here tonight. They set the bar high, very high indeed. We thank each of you for sharing your families with us.
The Billy Benz broadcast story began in 1939 in Bessemer, Alabama. He was a 21-year-old honors graduate from Auburn, armed with an engineering degree and a head full of ideas. Benz set out to change the radio industry, and boy, did he ever. The first Benz station, WFTM in Fort Myers, Florida. But for Billy, one station wasn't enough. He served as a consulting engineer for a number of stations up and down the East Coast, and even served as a professor of electrical engineering at the University of South Carolina. But eventually, Benz returned to radio full-time and never looked back. Billy was gifted at all aspects of engineering and management, and finally set his sights on Chattanooga. There were some engineering and FCC challenges. Benz cut through them like a knife. And his flair for engineering would soon be matched by his instincts for the then young format of rock and roll.
Ready now, go cat, go, don't you step on my blue suede.
Billy Benz. Well, Billy Benz was an engineering genius. In the late 1950s, it seems like every radio station in the Chattanooga area was looking for a way to increase their power. Their engineers consistently gave the same diagnosis: not gonna happen. Enter Billy Benz, who figured out a way to put a 10,000 watt radio station on the air from nearby Lookout Mountain, Tennessee, covering the entire Chattanooga area. And that station went up eventually to 50,000 watts. Joe Poteet, the chief engineer at the time, told me personally that if they would have put those towers at the time to the left a few feet, wouldn't have worked. To the right a few feet, wouldn't have worked. There was one small piece of property that would work. And Billy Benz figured out a way to put that station on the air. And that's exactly what he did in February of 1961. And the rest is history.
WFLI soon signed on. Jetfly took off and soared to the top.
Greater Chattanooga's most powerful radio voice, Jetfly WFLI.
And I've had people say, well, what was it like? Well, I can tell you that it was like turning on a light switch. It was instant, overnight ratings success. And I think almost every kid from every high school had that station turned on. You literally couldn't go anywhere, and not hear that station. It'll never happen again. Never.
Of course, you can't do rock and roll without promotion and showmanship, and Billy had them both. He was one of the first Renaissance men in broadcasting, and we welcome Billy Benz into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. Next up in the legacy category, David Earl Hughes. David was the son of another radio guy, Sid. His dad was a gospel radio mainstay and winner of numerous Dove Awards. So David came by his love of radio honestly. He may have been a second-generation broadcaster, but he was a first-rate talent. And that talent, along with the man himself, was larger than life. In fact, it was 42 years ago today that David Hughes sat down behind his first microphone at WRIP in Rossville. But unlike his dad, David didn't want to stay in gospel, and he soon moved across town to WGOW. After serving as part of the KZ106 Morning Zoo for a few years, David found his way to US 101, also in Chattanooga, and US 101 found their new superstar.
Hi, this is Trisha Yearwood. You're listening to big old hairy David Earl Hughes, who's not really fat. He's just swollen. Here on US 101.
Hughes soon teamed up with 2016 Hall of Fame inductee Bill Poindexter, and that partnership soon led Dave and Dex on the way to award after award after award. David won the CMA Personality of the Year Award for the first time ever in 1994. He and his partner Dex won again in 1999, and they went on to play a huge part in the US 101 success story. But the biggest part of big old hairy David Earl Hughes wasn't his waistline, it wasn't his voice.
73 degrees in the big city, and on the FM dial, you're at 100.7.
It was his heart. David was active in the American Cancer Society. He was also involved with the Forgotten Child Fund, the Chattanooga Rescue Squad, and a host of other charities. If you needed a voice to help raise money for the underprivileged, call David Hughes. Anything involving kids, David was there. And St. Jude's Hospital was one of his favorites, where he donated his time, his money, and most of all his love for the St. Jude kids. It's an honor to welcome David Earl Hughes into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. Our next inductee, the pride of Knoxville, Mr. Jeff Jacoby. Jeff attended Tennessee Tech in Cookeville, and it was there he fell in love with the science and the art of broadcasting. It all started off as sports director for Tennessee Tech's radio station, and that led to the first stop on his career path at WHUB. After moving to Knoxville in the early 80s, Jeff joined the Vol Network and went to work for Journal Broadcasting. Then bigger stations and better opportunities came calling, and Jeff answered. In 2000, Jeff joined Dick Broadcasting and began anchoring the Doc, Jeff, and Heather show. But he was also actively involved in sales, management, and every aspect of broadcast. He became a protege of Bobby Denton, and the rest, as they say, is history. Jacoby went on to become a Knoxville broadcast mainstay for the next 35 years. Sadly, Jeff passed away on Christmas Day of 2016, but his memories and his contributions to radio in East Tennessee will remain forever. We now welcome Jeff Jacoby into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. Martin Courant began his broadcast career in 1942 at WKPT, at that time the only radio station in Kingsport, Tennessee. And that began one of the longest stints in Tennessee radio history, lasting until 1971. Almost 30 years at one radio station. After his 3 decades there, Martin moved to Chicago to pursue a public relations job for a while, but as usual, the radio bug bit again, and Martin returned to Kingsport in 1980 to host the morning show, which he finally did all the way up until age 80. Eventually, Martin was elected a vice president of Holston Valley Broadcasting, and during his tenure at those stations, at one time or another, he held just about every position available, including program director, news director, and sports director. He was also responsible for the company's famous student announcer program, which produced a whole host of radio and TV talent, including NBC newsman John Palmer.
Good evening. The United States Olympic Committee said tonight it will accept any decision President Carter makes concerning American participation at the Summer Olympics in Moscow.
And others who all went on to big network positions at WSB, WSM, and a host of others. In fact, Martin actually declined a serious job offer from NBC Network in New York to stay in his beloved Kingsport. We now welcome Martin Courant to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
John Lashley was one of Middle Tennessee's best-known voices in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. Lashley was the lead sportscaster for WLAC and what would later become WTVF News Channel 5. A gifted athlete as a young man, John carried his love for sports through high school and college. His professional broadcast career began during his freshman year at UT Knoxville, and he would be a devoted Vol fan for life. During his military service in the Navy, he also did radio for the Armed Forces Network, and after his military career, he was selected to headline the WLAC broadcast staff, and was also involved with television work as well.
Whether it's a new Olympic world record or a sports challenge, John Lashley knows sports is more than being a winner or loser. It's news. That's why John Lashley is a sportscaster as well as a sportsman. John Lashley, Chris Clark, Dave Kaler, Mark Russell, the Eyewitness News team. We bring it all home to you on Television 5.
For many years, John juggled both radio and television duties and was among the first to host the Tennessee Outdoors TV show. In addition to his broadcast service, he did public service work as well, serving as both a Nashville councilman and then as criminal court clerk for Metro Nashville and Davidson County. He was close friends with UT head football coach Johnny Majors and was side by side with the Vols when they won the BCS championship. Over a decades-long career, John Lashley earned the respect of generations of Middle Tennesseans. He's also earned his way into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. Before moving to Nashville, Dick Lehman spent several years in Iowa, honing his skills as a jock and then a newsman. After arriving in the Music City, Dick went to work at WSM. For the next dozen years, he refined his craft and worked on breaking news stories, spot news, and series pieces. When news broke, Dick Lehman was there. Lehman's work helped to further establish the WSM News Department and led them to numerous awards, including the prestigious Edward R. Murrow Award, the Peabody Award, and the National Headliner Award. Dick's work also earned him numerous awards from both the Associated Press and United Press International. Lehman left Nashville in the late 90s to return to Iowa and became the morning news anchor for WHO in Des Moines.
It's cloudy, 71 degrees in Des Moines. I'm Dick Lehman, News Radio 1040 WHO.
He was also a founder of the Storytellers Festival in Iowa and was active at both WHO and the Storytellers Festival until his death.
I'm Dick Lehman reporting.
We now welcome Dick Lehman to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
What a great list of inductees, the legacy category for the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. Now we'd like to bring the family members up to accept the award on behalf of their family members. We'll introduce each one of them to you and give you the relationship. right on up. Okay, go ahead. Billy Benz, the inductee, and accepting on his behalf his daughter, Betty Benz, and his son, Bill Benz III. All right. I understand you're continuing to honor your father's passion of broadcasting by opening a new museum in Chattanooga. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, it's a top 40 radio museum in Chattanooga on the original premises of WFLI radio, with a lot of the original equipment, transmitter.
Very good. Congratulations. Our inductee, David Hughes. Accepting for him tonight, his son, Stephen Hughes. Congratulations. Hey, got a question for you. What was it like growing up with your father being such a household name in the city of Chattanooga?
What was that like, Stephen? Painful. Every cop knew who you were. The greatest threat wasn't going to jail. It was, I'm calling your dad.
I can understand that. Yes, indeed. Once again, congratulations, David Hughes, one of our inductees. Our next inductee is Jeff Jacoby. Accepting for Jeff his wife Cherie. If Jeff were here tonight, what do you think he would say right now?
Well, first of all, he'd have a great big smile on his face and just say how humbled he is and how honored he is to receive this award from his peers. He loved radio, both on air and in sales, and wouldn't have wanted to do anything else in life.
Very good. Well done. Congratulations. Jeff Jacoby. Our next inductee, Martin Courant. Accepting is his grandson, John Courant. How are you?
Good.
Martin didn't truly retire till he was what, like 80 years old?
80 years old.
Why do you think he was so dedicated to the Tri-Cities community?
Yeah, he loved his job, and that was his family. And even when he had opportunities to go to New York, he wanted to come back. It was his home. It was where everybody knew his name, to quote Cheers. And he loved being there. So he was committed to Tri-Cities.
Very good. Congratulations on this honor tonight. John Lashley Jr. is our next inductee. His son, John Lashley III, will be accepting in his behalf. Can you tell me a quick, funny story about John, and what do you think made him so successful?
Well, I can tell you one thing. The family and I were sitting back there earlier, and we started telling stories, and by the time we got to the end, we were like, no, we can't tell that one. No, and so we did that 2 or 3 times, and finally I talked with Buddy over here, and Buddy reminded me of a story when my dad first started in radio. He was in Weslaco, Texas, and the sheriff in Weslaco had just raided a large moonshine still, and this is Dad's first big break, and so he goes on the radio and he starts telling the story that the local sheriff had confiscated 150 gallons of moonshine And my dad thinks this is his big break. He is really, he's broken some big news here. And the phones start lighting up, and he's like, okay, great. And he answers the phone, and the first caller is confiscated, dummy. And so my dad had a little bit of a hard time living that down, but he made it.
I would say he recovered pretty nicely there. Congratulations tonight. Thank you for being here to accept on his behalf. John Lashley Jr., our inductee. Dick Lehman is our next inductee. And accepting on his behalf, Janet, his wife, and Meredith, his daughter. Hi there. What do you think made Dick such a successful journalist?
He never thought it was work. He loved every day of it.
So it was 98% fun for him, too.
Yes, all the time.
Thank you. Congratulations on, and I'm glad you're getting to accept this award on his behalf.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Tonight, we know that broadcasting is kind of an extended family. I know where I worked for almost 40 years, we called it the WMC family, and we truly felt that way as we went to work every day. And broadcasting in general, I think, is an extended family. We all share some weird hours, some good times, and I think the feeling for most of us that we do some good in the communities that we serve. But just like with any other family, sometimes we lose members long before it's their time to go. And we want to pause just a moment here this evening and recognize some other Tennessee broadcasters who left us all too soon. Some of this next group have already been inducted into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame on this very stage, and some, no doubt, will be inducted in the future. They may have left us, but our hearts will never forget them.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. And band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, carrier coming for to carry me home.
A little personal for me because Lance Russell appeared there. Lance and I co-hosted a regional wrestling show for 35 years in Memphis, Tennessee, and we lost him last October. Hey, he also gave me my first job in weather. Now, I'm not going to do a full weathercast tonight. They would not allow me to have a green screen up here. But how many of you drove in a downpour today? A lot of you, I know. I did. Well, by the way, it's 64 degrees at 8:01 in Murfreesboro, since we always did time and temperature after every record, right? I will tell you that the trip home tomorrow should be much better. I'm looking for some sunshine and a temp climbing up into the mid and upper 70s, so things are looking better tomorrow. You know, since the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame was founded 7 years ago, there has only been one recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award. Just one in a 7-year history. But this year, our board of directors decided that there are 2 of our members richly deserving of a Lifetime Achievement Award. We began with a Middle Tennessee sports legend who has been behind the microphone for more than 53 years. He's done thousands of games, both at home and on the road, and he hosted the very first sports call-in show in Nashville. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the story of Dick Palmer.
Got a little surprise for you tonight. I've got Pete Weber here, the voice of the Nashville Predators, and also a board member of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. He has a special announcement to make tonight.
Hey, Pete.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Coach.
Does he know how to wear this headset?
I've worn a few of these before.
Pete, you know Coach Ensign.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know what you have planned for Saturday, May 5th.
I expect I've got a baseball broadcast, perhaps.
Well, somewhere nearby, I think we're going to do something else for you. On behalf of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame, I'd like to tell you on that night, you're going to be presented with a Lifetime Achievement Award for your work in this broadcast industry across this state. And I wanted to be the first to tell you and do it so here tonight. It was all determined at a knockdown, drag-out board meeting on Saturday, and you are going to get that honor.
Well, I don't know what to say.
To think of all the places he has worked. People think I worked a lot of places, but no. And the fact that he has been in Middle Tennessee, he's been in East Tennessee. I can't think of anyone, and he continues to work, obviously, at MTSU. I can't think of anyone who has had a larger footprint on sportscasting at the least, if not overall broadcasting in Tennessee than Dick Palmer. So this Lifetime Achievement Award, I think, is something very, very special.
What a deserving honor. Just a absolutely passionate individual about what he does. His nickname is the Old Pro, and there's a reason for that, because he's so professional about how he handles interviews, how he handles games. His voice is unlike anybody else's. I'm just proud to be part of it, proud to be his friend, and proud for him to be our announcer.
Well, congratulations to Dick Palmer, very much deserved. Been a tremendous supporter and done a tremendous job for Blue Raider baseball. There's a reason why he's called the Old Pro. He brings a lot to the table every time he comes to the ballpark and has been a big part of Blue Raider baseball over the years, and very excited, and he very well deserved this award.
I've known Dick for a long time, and as a professional and also as a friend, he of course broadcasts in the Blue Raiders. I broadcast the Mocs, and I think in radio there's so many, close-knit relationships. And that's even more so when you're in that radio play-by-play world, because he comes to my place and broadcasts the game, and I want to make sure he has everything he needs, and I go to his place, and Dick has always been the great host. What we need in radio when you go on the road, you need, well, back in the day, you needed a phone line, then an ISDN line, now an Ethernet line, but you have to add a phone line, power, and where's the free food? And Dick was always good at providing all that. And just the legacy of sports broadcasting at Middle Tennessee State, starting with Monty Hale and then John Egley, and then Dick carried that baton so many years, and now Chip Walters does a great job. think of all the great sports moments, great history moments in MTSU athletics, and so many fans heard that history in the making from Dick Palmer. He's done a great job at play-by-play. Great broadcaster, great person. That's the kind of people we need in Tennessee, and that's why it's so great that Dick's being honored by the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. We now welcome Dick Palmer, Lifetime Achievement recipient, to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
They say the leadoff man kind of sets the stage for the whole game. Y'all are in for a long night. I'm just kidding. We just got through with a 3-hour graduation ceremony out at MTSU this afternoon. Got through about 5 o'clock, went home, spruced up a little bit, hit it right out here. I would like to introduce my family. If y'all would stand up and just stay standing until I tell you to sit down. Hold your applause. Hold your applause. My son Michael, my son Richard, and my son John. I will introduce, really you guys gave this award to the wrong person. The person who should have a Lifetime Achievement Award is my wife, Dee, for putting up with me for over 50 years. That's what I call a lifetime achievement. My granddaughters, Abby, who's at Siegel High School, and the latest graduate from MTSU, my granddaughter, Caitlin. She is now gainfully seeking employment. I know there are a lot of people out here who might need a smiling face around the office, so you can see her after it's over. Thank you, guys. Sit down. I would like, hold your applause. I'd like to introduce my brothers and sisters who are in the back. My brother, y'all stand up. My brother, B.E., who I always introduce as my older brother, but I can't do it today because I got too many family members here, you know different. B.E. and his wife Beth, my sister Nancy Webb and her husband Bob, and my baby sister Pat Threet and her husband Bruce. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank the MTSU folks for that nice ad they put in the program. I know they don't give those things away, but I appreciate them doing that. I've got a couple of tables of some of my MTSU people back in the back. They're kind of rowdy, so I won't ask them to stand up right now. We'll see you guys later on. I'd like to thank Pete Weber and Chip Walters, who kind of ramrodded this thing through, I guess, and our thanks to the board who approved it. I'm sure it was probably after midnight in a smoke-filled room when all this finally got worked out, and you saw what they did to me. I was on a live radio show, and they sprung it on me from behind, and it kind of took my breath away. But thanks to and Pete, I'd love for him to be here tonight. He has another obligation down at Bridgestone Arena later on. But Chip is here, and I appreciate their work. Congratulations to all who are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. It's a great honor. A lot of these people, maybe I didn't know personally, but I knew of you, and I've seen a lot of people here tonight that I have worked with in the past. Tom Britt from Jackson is here. It's good to see him. Again, we broke him in radio when he was at Beach Bluff High School, and we put him on the air at WDXI in Jackson, and he was T-Tommy in the Country Club. He's come a long way since then. Tom, thanks for being here tonight. Chip. Chip told me I had to tell one Charlie Finley story before I sat down. Charlie Finley, most of you have heard of him. especially you guys who are a little bit more my age. He was the maverick owner of the Kansas City A's and later moved that team to Oakland. And he was the owner of the Oakland A's. They were the team in the green and gold, the white shoes. They had the long hair and the mustaches, and they won 3 world championships in the 1970s. And he bought our basketball team in Memphis. I'd been working pro basketball for the ABA team in Memphis. It was about to go under, and he bought it for a shoestring. And I guess he thought he could sell it and make a profit. So he was going to be our new owner. This was about the 3rd year that we'd carried the game. Fred Cook was my station manager, and Fred Cook was negotiating the broadcast rights with Mr. Finley. Now, Chip, you told me I could tell this story, didn't you? Okay. So, Fred Cook was on the phone with Mr. Finley. Finley was in his office in Chicago, and they were knocking out the details of the broadcast arrangement, and all of a sudden, I heard a loud roar, and Fred Cook said, "Palmer, get in here." So I ran down to the station manager's office, and he was hilarious. He was in stitches. He said, "You won't believe what Finley said." I said, "Well, is it good or bad?" He said, "Here's what he said." He said, "I've got a guy that I fired in Oakland who was an announcer, and I'm still paying him. And he's going to come to Memphis and do the games." And my station manager, Fred Cook, said, "No, if we carry the games, Palmer's going to do them because he's been accepted here and he's been doing the games in the past." And I said, "Well, what did he say to that?" He said, "Okay, you tell Palmer he can do the games, but you tell the SOB he's going to eat hot dogs and sleep in a whorehouse." That never did happen. But that's a Charlie Finley story and I've got a few more I'll tell you a little later on the post-game show. One person that I wish could be here tonight was the person who actually broke me into radio at WMTS in Murfreesboro, and that's John Hood. John is my mentor, and everything that I really know about this business, I learned from him. And he had laser cataract surgery yesterday. He said he wanted to be here, but I don't think he made it. But I just wanted to thank him publicly and thank all of the folks that I've worked with in the past. Congratulations to all the inductees. Charlie Monk and I both worked at the same radio station at 2 different times, so it's good to see him. And I really appreciate y'all putting up with me for these few minutes. Thank you very much.
All right. Our next Lifetime Achievement Award goes to one of the best friends the radio industry has ever had. He's a writer, he's a publisher, he's a mentor, and so much more. He seems to know everybody, and everybody seems to know him. He's the mayor of Music City Row. This is the story, ladies and gentlemen, of the legendary Charlie Monk.
They have asked me to tell you that you are being inducted into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. And you are receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. And this whole luncheon, although I do have things to talk to you about, is a ruse to tell you that you are going into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. And if he didn't,
I shouldn't be crying, and I'm laughing.
Yeah, if he didn't turn this recorder on to get this, I'm going to be really mad.
I'm Kyle Cantrell, and for a long time I have known Charlie Monk. I first met him years ago, and over the next few minutes we want you to get to know him better as well. You'll be hearing about just a few of his lifelong accomplishments in the radio and music business. You'll be seeing some of the people who've influenced Charlie and who have been influenced by him. Charlie got his start in the entertainment business when he was just a kid. Seriously, Charlie would entertain family and friends almost from the time he could walk and talk. It didn't take his mom and dad long to realize Charlie was destined to be an entertainer for life. Charlie's first real radio job was at WGEA in his hometown of Geneva, Alabama, at the ripe old age of 16 years old, and from that point on, he was hooked. After attending Troy State University, it was on to Mobile, Alabama, where he programmed country stations there, and then a couple of years in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. WMTS in Murfreesboro was the station that eventually took Charlie to Music City. It was 1968, and Charlie's daily radio show from Music Row on Nashville's only full-time country music station, as WMTS was at the time, made Charlie an institution, and Music City would never be the same. After WMTS, Charlie left radio for a time to ply his other talent, that as an accomplished songwriter and publisher. And you want to talk about an eye for talent, if it wasn't for Charlie, you probably would have never heard of folks like Kenny Chesney or Reba McEntire or Holly Dunn, just to name a few. I mean, Vince Gill, Trisha Yearwood, and Garth Brooks all used to do demos for Charlie.
Charlie Monk, Garth Brooks here. Congratulations on going into the Hall of Fame. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, happy birthday to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. Very cool. Charlie Monk, this is all about you. I love you, pal. I can't thank you enough for all you've done for me, but the truth is you've done it for everybody. You're one of those guys that knows a lot about everything. So if they ever make a Hall of Fame for that, you're the first guy in. Seriously, man, every time I talk to you, when I leave you, I am ready to go out and kick the world's ass. And that is a gift that you have. Thank you for sharing it with me. But this ain't about me. It's all about you. Congratulations, Charlie. Well deserved.
But Charlie Monk always kept his hand in radio. He and a few of his friends founded the Country Radio Broadcasters Association and the Country Radio Seminar. Charlie, so far, has never missed a CRS, helping radio broadcasters be better at bringing country music to America. The CRS will celebrate its 50th anniversary this coming February, and it all started with Charlie Monk. Charlie's also a lifetime member of the Country Music Association, the Gospel Music Association, and the Academy of Country Music. As he's affectionately called the mayor of Music Row, Charlie Monk has done an incredible job for this industry, both in front of and behind the microphones and cameras. A lot of people owe a lot of their success to Charlie. The music and radio businesses are both much better because of his contributions.
Hey, Charlie. Charlie Monk, man on the street. Congratulations, Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. That's awesome, son. You deserve it. You want me to run that check back through?
Hey Charlie, it's Taylor. I just wanted to say congratulations on being inducted into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. And I wanted to say thank you so much for treating artists with such respect and for being a person of such integrity in this business. You're amazing. You've always been incredible to me and so many other people in the music. So congratulations.
Hey Charlie, congratulations on being honored tonight. I totally agree that you are the mayor of Music Row and you do tell some great stories. I sure wish I was there with you guys tonight listening to the stories y'all are telling. There's nothing better than a great story. So have fun tonight. And I hope I see you soon. Love you a bunch.
Hey, Charlie, it's Dolly here. Oh, whatever it is, you've always been all over it, just like a rash that won't go away. From every press conference that I've done, in Nashville to every country radio seminar event that I've been to the movie that we did years ago, Blue Valley Songbird. Oh, you was the star of that, wasn't you, Charlie? To always trying to get another picture with me. Well, you've earned your designation as the mayor of Music Row, I can tell you that. And in all seriousness, you truly are the definition of a Music Row storyteller. So congratulations, my buddy, on your honor tonight. And thanks for being so kind to me. And you know that I will always love you. I will always love my Charlie.
And even today, Charlie remains active, hosting Willie's Roadhouse from 6 until noon every day on Sirius XM radio. That's a spot he's held for nearly 15 years. And on top of all that, Charlie continues to be influential as a mentor and developing music and radio folks all across America. He's one of the best ambassadors ever for the radio and music businesses. His extended family is very proud of Charlie, and we now proudly award the Lifetime Achievement Award and welcome to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame the mayor of Music Row, our friend Charlie Monk.
Good evening. My name is Walton Perry, and I'm Charlie Monk's grandson. He's had a lot of people to thank for helping his career, and he was going to do that, but now there's been a change. Mr. Skip Woolwine has raised over $300 tonight and has offered it to me if I would do the acceptance speech instead of my grandfather. Skip said he and producer Chip Chapman thought it'd be quicker and way more entertaining. My grandfather refers to himself as the beautiful Charlie Monk, but I just call him Popsy. The first person I know he would like to thank would be his college sweetheart and campus beauty queen, my wonderful grandmother Royce. He would like to thank her for not giving up on him and also for not killing him. I know her as Roro, you know her as Royce, or the nice lady with great patience. I heard Roro say one day that the only thing that she and Popsy have in common is that they were both married on the same day. Popsy loves his children and would like to give them all a quick shout out. His firstborn is Uncle Chip Monk, who is a lawyer. He has spent his entire adult life in Washington, D.C. and hasn't embarrassed us yet. He was smart enough to marry Aunt Suki, the doctor in our family. Uncle Colin lives in Chattanooga. He started his career in the music business as a singer, but he outgrew that. You might remember a punk rocker, Reverend Colin Wade Monk and the Bongo Fury. He's married to Aunt Grace, and they gave Popsy his first grandson, a senior down in Sabintown, the mighty Theodore Monk. Popsy is very proud of my Aunt Capucine, the creative genius of our family, and I'm sure he would like to thank him for his first granddaughter, the beautiful HCA accountant McKenna. Aunt Capucine lives next door to Popsy, so she can check on his attire every day before he leaves home. Then there's my mother, Cammie, who is married to my dad, Scott Perry. My mom, or as Popsy calls her, Bay, gave him 3 reasons to visit Birmingham, Alabama as often as possible. My sister Ella, my brother Douglas, and the best looking of all his grandchildren, me. By the way, Popsy told me that when my mom Cammie was very young, she whined and whined. She whined so much that he started calling her Cammie Winette. Our family is here tonight, and I would like for them to stand and give a big group grin. And you can give them all a round of applause. Popsy would probably want me to add that Aunt Capucine and my mom were born right here in the borough. As you've heard him brag, Charlie Monk has done almost everything in the show business. He's had a spectacular professional career and has enjoyed all 15 minutes of it. Bill Fletcher, this political guy that uses Popsy's voice all over the country for advertisements, refers to my grandfather as Charlie Monk, a legend in his spare time. A big thank you to Mr. Tom Perryman, his wife Billy, and their partner Mary Reeves for starting Popsy's Tennessee radio career when they brought him to Murfreesboro in 1968 to program WMTS. The late John McCreary was a great help to my grandfather too. A big help should go out to Steve Blatter. 16 years ago, he dug Popsy out of mothballs and gave him a daily nationwide Sirius XM radio show from Nashville. We are grateful to J.R. Shulman for keeping him around since then. Popsy told me that some of his Tennessee radio idols are John Young, Jerry House, Hoss Allen, Gene Nobles, John Richburg, Dave Nichols, Grant Turner, Harold Henry, Ralph Emery, Charlie Douglas, and his current co-worker Kyle Cantrell. Popsy, why'd you cross Keith Bilberry off this list? Well, you know by now then that the other media has given him way too much print and FaceTime because he's parlayed that into perception that he's actually a success, and now people keep hiring him as a consultant, which means hopefully he should be leaving us grandkids a little cash someday. I heard someone ask him tonight why he hasn't retired yet. He mumbled some lame excuse, but I know the real reason. Roro won't let him. Remember, her name is Royce, and she has always wanted a car with her name on it. I think he deserves this honor, but our family has decided if Popsy had spent as much time working on his radio career as he did hanging out with celebrities, we'd be somewhere in the Bahamas instead of sitting here acting like we're all impressed. And one last thing, and it is serious. Thank you to the membership of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame for honoring our favorite radio personality and the best grandfather ever, my Popsy, Charlie Monk.
All right. Earlier out in the hallway, I learned something here tonight, because earlier out in the hallway, Charlie said he didn't mind getting old as long as he could stay cute. I kind of feel that way too, so I've learned tonight, from now on, I'm going to have my grandson do my acceptance speeches, especially one that's that good a writer, huh? This brings us to the career category. You know, down here in the South, we often say, ladies first. Well, that's what we're going to do as we move into the career category. Mary Glenn Lassiter was a mainstay in Tennessee broadcasting for many years. Then she moved to Atlanta and Kansas City before returning home. She is our first inductee in the career category for the 2018 class of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
We're gonna take the beginning of this song and do it easy. But then we're gonna do the finish rough. It's the way we do Proud Mary. Listen to the story now.
Mary Glenn Lassiter did start out nice and easy as an announcer on WEZK-FM in Knoxville, a job she got right after earning her bachelor's degree in communications from UT Knoxville in 1973. She also did news on WTVK-TV, and that led to becoming producer and later co-host of the Johnny Mountain Morning Show. In 1975, Mary's husband Robert, a former Vol football player, got a coaching job in Gallatin, Tennessee, and Mary moved to the Nashville area. In 1976, she began doing the news for WQQK Hendersonville, which later became 92Q. Mary picked up the Morning Drive News, where GM Bob Rich christened her the semi-beautiful Mary Glenn Lassiter.
Hello, we have partly cloudy skies this morning. Going to have a good day today. Going to cloud up by tonight with some rain. It's 39 degrees. The 826 News Q, I'm Mary Glenn Lassiter. The Constitutional Convention wants to wrap things up, but to do that, they need more money from the taxpayers.
92Q was soon bought by Mooney Broadcasting, and Mary Glenn became the newsperson and sidekick for Steve McCoy. In 1980, another first for Mary Glenn. John Ward asked Mary to join the Vol Network, where she set up all of the post-game and halftime reports, coordinated stringers from across the country, and voiced all of the intros and wrap-ups as the first female voice on the Vol Network. Mary would keep this up alongside other radio jobs for years. Mary returned to Nashville in 1982 to Kix 104, teaming with Coyote McLeod and comedian Jim Gossett for what was a highly rated and fun morning show.
Any chance that old Blue Eyes is seeing the success of Michael Jackson and now recording with Michael's producer?
Yeah.
Would be doing Michael Jackson's song?
No, surely
You
not.
think not?
I
have a tape.
Keep on with the force now. Don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with that force now. Do not stop till you get enough. Billie Jean's not my lover. That dirty tramp is not my lover. She's too hungry, dinner at 8. Loves the theater, never goes late.
Atlanta called soon, and in 1983, Mary went to Z93 to be on the air with John Young and Steve McCoy. This lasted until '86, when Steve left and Randy Miller came on board. Mary worked with Randy, and later was hired along with him at KBEQ in Kansas City. Mary Glenn had been a news person and co-host for 15 years, and now she was ready to do it all by herself. Vic Rumor thought Mary was ready too. He brought her back to Nashville at WGFX, where she became Proud Mary, the first female rock morning show DJ in Nashville history. In 1997 came the greatest casting call ever, as WRVR became 107.5 The River and hired Proud Mary to roll on it and to do their TV spot.
Where to set your radio dial? I mean, is this light? Is it mix? And then you got things going from here to here. And the station that was here is gone. No problem. Just follow me to this end of the dial and keep your radio glued on 107.5 The River.
Proud Mary in the morning. Today's music 10 in a row all day. 107.5 The River.
I can't get my finger off of here. Gosh, this is really good.
Mary finished her radio career on WNRQ 105.9 The Rock in 2012. That's 30 years of news, sports, celebrities, and rock and roll, rolling on the airwaves with Proud Mary. Mary Glenn Lassiter, the newest member of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
Mary Glenn is unable to attend tonight, but Nick Archer is going to be accepting the award on her behalf. Nick?
Mary Glenn lives in Louisville now, and everyone she knows in the world came for the Derby. So she's kind of stuck there, but she asked me to say a few words. And I worked with Mary Glenn in 92Q in 1977, my first Nashville paying job. She was cool. I mean, she would do the news, then I would go around the corner, and she would be belly dancing with Zills to Life in the Fast Lane that came on after the news. I mean, she was just incredible. She was herself, and no matter what she did, news, doing sports, doing co-hosting, she was always herself, and she always just really did a great job. And when she finally got to do a morning show all by herself, she really kicked. I mean, she really did, and she continues to do so today. She's retired, but she's still the same Mary Glenn. So I'd like to, on her behalf, thank all of her co-workers over the years, and just say a big thank you for Mary Glenn to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame and to all of you.
Thank you, Nick. All right, next up, we honor the career of a radio newsman who did much more than news. He was more than a newsman, he was a true radio journalist. He served Middle Tennessee for decades, and he broke a lot of ground, not to mention he broke a lot of news stories. Here's a look back at the career of David Tower.
I try to write as much of my news as possible. The way it's structured at the moment, I can't do it very often. But I go over the copy that has been written for me, and I change a word or two here, a phrase there, and it becomes the way I deliver.
Our next inductee in the 2018 class, David Tower.
One of the most distinctive news deliveries during Nashville's AM Top 40 era was that of David Tower. David began as a newsreader on WMAK in 1970. WMAK. He had virtually no experience as a reporter. That quickly changed, and in 1971, David was appointed as news director of WMAK. In every year of the 70s decade, WMAK won large market radio awards from the Associated Press, including the prestigious Best Overall News Operations for 75 to 76, all under Tower's leadership. David originated a program called I Am Woman, which focused on the successes of women such as Oprah Winfrey, Billie Jean King, and many others. He was appointed to the Tennessee Commission on the Status of Women by Governor Dunn. In 1979, David, now the news director of WLAC, was elected president of the Society of Professional Journalists Sigma Delta Chi, now known as SPJ. WLAC replaced WMAK as number one, and that was the last time that happened in the Nashville market. During the late afternoon power and pattern changes at the stations, when David finished his last daily newscast on the hour, the operators delighted in making the switch during the pause in David's distinctive sign-off.
This is David Tower.
On the fringes of the signal, listeners to those newscasts never heard his last name. He was also news director at Y107 and FM 100 from 1989 to 1992. Among personalities David says he was blessed to work with was Charlie Chase, Alan Dennis, Bill Hoss Allen, and many, many others. We now welcome David Tower to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
Thank you, sir. Well, I think I'll just sit. I'm in very good health, in case you're wondering. I just have a hip problem that is bone to bone, and they haven't decided yet what to do with it. And I hope that it's very soon that they decide. I didn't bring many notes. I'd just like to say it is a singular honor to be here tonight among all of you and to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Thank all of you who voted, all of you who didn't. But it sort of all began back in 1955. I was a teenager in East Texas, and I happened to run across WLAC at night, and I would listen to it as often as I could get it. And lo and behold, 30 years later, I was working with the people I heard on that station. The Hossman, Gene Nobles, John R. Great time at WMAK. A lot of people that I worked with there that are still friends today. Working with some of the people too at WLAC, Teddy Bart, Bob Bell, George Baber, Spider, Pat Riley, Doc Damon, and a whole host of other people. Thanks for some of the news people that I've worked with too over the years. Melissa McDonald, Paul Randall Dickerson, Buddy Sadler, Joe Williams, Chuck Morgan, Paula Stewart, Anne Marie Deere, Sharon Puckett, Mike King, Eddie Parker, Sherman Novison, Alan Dennis, Mike Donegan, Mike Bohan, Mike McClellan, Paul Ladd. I thank all of them, and I thank all of you.
Salute the accomplishments, the incredible accomplishments, I would say, of a man who worked his way up to the top in both Knoxville and Nashville. He hired legendary talent while he was at WMAK. And if you ever went to a concert in the 70s or the 80s, the odds are this is the guy who produced it. Here is the story of Joe Sullivan.
He's on! Joe Sullivan. Good evening, everybody. My name is Scotty Brink, and I'd like to take a moment to share a few facts and thoughts about one of my best friends in the world, and that would be Joe Sullivan. Now, those of us who know Joe know that he's one of the best guys in the world. He's also one of those rare individuals who has literally done it all in this business, and he's done it all very, very well. After paying his dues in Manchester and in Tullahoma and a couple stopovers down in Alabama, Joe scored a pretty good job in Knoxville, WKGN, owned by Mooney Broadcasting. In less than a year, they made him program director, which quickly proved to be a very wise choice on Mooney's part because with Joe at the helm, WKGN rose rapidly to #1 in Knoxville. Well, Mooney obviously liked their newfound success in Knoxville, so in the summer of '68, they did another really smart thing and transferred Joe to WMAK here in Nashville.
The Mooney Broadcasting Corporation, WMAK, Nashville.
Smart guy that he is, Joe set forth to put together his dream team of air talent. This dream team of Joe's consisted of what would become some of the best and most legendary jocks ever to grace the Nashville airwaves. I'm talking about Dick Kent, Alan Dennis, Gary Beatty, also known as Gary Douglas. There was the dulcet voice of John Young, a very young Mike Bohan, and of course that nighttime kid, that brash kid who became one of the biggest names in radio, ultimately, and still is, Scott Shannon.
Back to the early days of my career when I arrived in Nashville, Tennessee as Super Shan, your ever-loving leader on the radio. I did 7 to midnight, and that's where I met Joe Sullivan. He was a different kind of program director. He never got upset. He didn't scream and holler and say, you're going to do it my way. This is the right way. This is what they do in New York. This is what they do in Los Angeles. He had a different way of going about things. He thought about it. He was open to other people's ideas, and believe me, I had a lot of them. Just like John Young had a lot of them. But I never really saw him upset. I saw him get pretty red a couple of times after I deviated from the format at night, but he was just a different kind of program director. I used to call him Cool Hand Luke, because he was always thinking, and he never rushed into anything. He always gave it a lot of thought. And I just want to take this opportunity to say, welcome to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame, Joe Sullivan, my Cool Hand Luke.
Anyway, with Joe in the captain's chair, the dream team quickly sailed on to #1. And then Mooney Broadcasting did another smart thing. They made Joe their group PD. Now let's fast forward a couple of years. With the experience, the reputation, and the wisdom he gained through his series of radio successes, Joe was now ready to expand his professional horizons. So he formed a company, and he called it Sound 70 Productions. Now, for those of us who weren't around back in the day, during the 70s and 80s, Sound 70 was the premier concert promoter throughout the Mid-South. Before long, Joe's gifted eye and ear, and his love for talented people, and the confidence those people had in him, added the not always easy, but sometimes very rewarding role of talent manager to Joe's credentials. He took over management of Charlie Daniels, and by virtue of that, created the annual event nobody wanted to miss, the Volunteer Jam. Now there was a show. Some of the other artists on Joe's management roster, Dobie Gray, Wet Willie, Bobby Bear, Nicolette Larson, Dickie Betts, even Wolfman Jack, just to name several. I'd like to add that while Joe was keeping all those plates spinning, he also sat on the CMA board for 16 years. Always a busy, focused, and very much valued guy. Later on, Joe made the decision to move to Missouri and do something new. And there he became one of the great driving forces in making Branson one of America's best-known live entertainment destinations. Like everything else he had always done, Sullivan's shows were always as perfect as possible in every way. And I mean down to the last detail. It was a joy to watch him work. Joe Sullivan, a producer, a promoter, a programmer, and always a perfectionist. Joe Sullivan spent his career doing exactly what he most loved doing, bringing out the best in people around him, creating the best in live production, helping really good talent become really great talent, and programming some of the best radio the Volunteer State has ever known.
Good morning on 1300 WMAK.
Oh, hello there. I'm Joe Sullivan. I'll be here till 12 o'clock noon today playing the hits for you from WMAK and that super hit survey. This is Sammy Davis Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming to a most deserved place in the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame, my very dear friend and yours, Joe Sullivan.
Joe is here, and his daughter Savannah is accompanying him.
I heard there was some money for people who were accepting on behalf. No? Oh man, he says he's cleaned out. I don't buy it. My name is Savannah Sullivan. I am Joe Sullivan's youngest daughter, and Dad told us that after so many years in the studio, he was retiring his microphone and asked me to accept on his behalf and say a few words for him. But before I read a little statement that he prepared, I wanted to take a moment because you may know that a microphone in a Sullivan's hand is a dangerous thing, and somebody let me have this one. So I'll take the moment to say a little something. That Dad, Kim, Joseph, and I were so proud to grow up with you as our father, and we know that Tracy was too. And it was so much fun to have a dad that had such a cool career and to be able to do all those fun things with you and celebrate your successes. We were all just so grateful that that was how we got to grow up, bragging about you. But without further ado, I'll read this statement from my dad, who is here tonight. He's sitting up there at table 2. Joe says, I am grateful and honored that you have chosen to recognize my time in radio here in my home state of Tennessee. For as long as I can remember, I wanted to be in radio. The years I worked at WMSR just down the road in Manchester when I was a teenager, and later at WKGN in Knoxville, and of course WMAK in Nashville, were some of the best years of my life. I met some incredible talent and even better friends, many of whom are here tonight. Particularly at WMAK, I worked with a dream team, and I was so proud to see so many of my friends and colleagues go on to have successful national careers. Though it would be impossible to thank each person individually who has made it possible for me to be here tonight, I do want to thank Lindsay, my wife of almost 35 years, for making sure I was able to come celebrate with all of you. Once again, I'm deeply grateful for this honor. Thank you.
Alrighty. Our next inductee goes above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to serving his community and its people. He's been there in good times, he's been there in bad times, and even after 45 years on the air, you can still hear him each and every afternoon. Our next inductee is in this year's class, Mr. Clarence Kilcrease.
Well, here's what I need you to really do, Clarence.
Okay.
On the real. Ask Jesus to forgive me, because I just told you a big lie.
Oh.
The reason why I'm here is on behalf of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. We want to congratulate you, because you're going to be inducted into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame in May of this year. You made it, Clarence. You
Wow.
made it.
Next up, one of Middle Tennessee's best-known and best-loved personalities, Mr. Clarence Kilcrease. All through his time at Pearl High School in Nashville, everyone called Kilcrease Reverend. He planned to be a minister for the rest of his life. That plan all changed when he got the chance to get behind a radio microphone. Kilcrease made the radio his own personal pulpit, preaching the blues and gospel music to his listeners. Gilchrist said his mojo came straight out of Motown. Music at that time was what young kids were dancing to, Gilchrist said. So that's the music we were playing. His voice and style mattered too. Listeners loved Gilchrist's one-word catchphrases. He'd come out and say, Yakapoo. Where I got that name, I don't know. It just came on like hotcakes. Gilchrist said, and I was Yakapoo. To Jefferson Street and beyond, Gilchrist was a star, hanging out with close friends like James Brown. It was an experience that I never thought would happen, Gilchrist said. Everybody just loved you because you're on the radio, and that's the way it happened. You couldn't go anywhere. Hey, there's the guy. You get recognized, and that was fun. Gilchrist helped make stars, too, hiring Oprah Winfrey for her very first broadcasting job on the radio before her TV career started.
Oh my goodness, I get to say hello and thank you to you, Clarence Gilchrist, Gilly Baby. I am so happy to be a part of this day, even if it is from afar, to celebrate you on everything you've accomplished throughout your remarkable career. And the truth is, your work, even when it's been hard, expresses the strength of the human spirit. Because I experienced your generosity firsthand in the 70s when the radio station at the time would not pay for the sponsorship. Remember this? The radio station would not pay for the sponsorship for me to participate in this fire prevention contest. And you paid it out of your own pocket. I've never forgotten that. It has been a long time since you paid that $50 to sponsor me. And I want to make sure you know my highest gratitude I have for what you did. That contest ultimately changed the trajectory of my life, paving what has been a really blessed road. You've been a giver. You have fertilized the soil with countless radio personalities and others who work behind the scenes in broadcasting. Many of them are now leaders in their own right who are now paying it forward. So your gift just keeps on giving, and I'm proud to be among that number because after hiring me at WVOL, you confirmed to Chris Clark that I would be a good hire when News Channel 5 came with an opportunity for me to move from radio to television. I remember the day that John Heidelberg called me in and asked me, did I want to hear my voice on tape? And you came in the room and you heard me reading news copy and hired me on the spot. You were the first person to do that. So thank you so much for starting all of this. Your voice has not only provided career opportunities for me and for so many others, it's just lifted the spirits of listeners for nearly half a century. So we bow to you, Mr. Clarence Gilchrist, and wish you multiple blessings to come.
All along the way, Gilchrist loved the music he played, but what was popular eventually changed. Today, I think some of the music is so horrible, he said. They shouldn't even be allowed to play it so kids can hear that kind of stuff. For many of his years on the radio, Gilchrist didn't use his real name. He was simply Mr. Tune, or for a long stretch, Gilly Baby.
All right then, Clarence Gilchrist, Mama's Bouncing Baby Boy, live and in living color.
Even without becoming a minister, Gilchrist still delivered a soul-filled message 5 days a week, 3 hours a day. We're proud to welcome Clarence Gilchrist to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. The only thing about it, Oprah she said the check got lost in the mail. I've been waiting a few years and still haven't arrived. But anyway, I mean, can it get any better? Can it get any better? What a good ride. Starting off as a young man and part-time, 30 minutes every Sunday, and working my way up to general manager. Let me say, the one thing that I was able to help many young ladies and young guys who wanted to get into broadcasting, and some are still serving. So we want to say it's been a great ride. I wouldn't take nothing but with the experience I've had in helping people when we were still in the air all night long to raise money. When someone died, didn't have insurance, couldn't bury them. Every Christmas, we organized a group called the Love Prayer Band, where we delivered about 500 baskets for 20 some odd years. Also toys for those who needed toys. I am so happy tonight, and it's a great honor to have this chance. To some people, such as Sharon Kay, Spider-Man Harrison, and I still, every once in a while, I will go back, I'm retired, and Mr. Orlando Ward, who is the manager of the station, called me to fill in for someone who's out. I'm still out there. Probably the oldest man on the air, but I'm still going. Thank you so much. All my co-workers are here to support me, and I'm saying, if I had to go, I hope that I have a mic somewhere close by. Thank you, and God bless you.
When our next inductee was only 18 years old, he started a low-power FM to broadcast to his college campus. From there, he brought Jackson, Tennessee, their first black program station. And he's been going and going and going ever since, both on the air and off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, we now look at the incredible story of an incredible man, James Super Wolf.
I was listening to WDIA radio in Memphis, Tennessee. I listened to one of the Jackson, and I said, that's what I want to do. I said, that's what I want to do.
Our next inductee in the 2018 class, James Super Wolf. James Wolf came to West Tennessee in the late 60s to attend Lane College. The Arkansas native had built a life and career in West Tennessee dedicated to radio. In the absence of stations in West Tennessee employing black DJs or targeting African American audiences, James sought and took any opportunity to host shows on a limited basis. If it was 2 hours on a Saturday afternoon on J103 FM in Jackson, or late nights on Brownsville 95.3, James Wolf pursued that opportunity. But that wasn't enough for James. Sometimes in broadcasting, these big breaks don't happen. So Wolf decided it was time to then set the goal of owning his own radio station. Personal savings and connections through James and his entertainer wife, Denise LaSalle, got the effort moving. And eventually, James and a team of partners applied for and received an FM frequency in West Tennessee. And Kix 96 was born.
We signed on the air, and after being on the air for 1 month, we had 29% of the market. Out of all the radio stations, and everybody said, oh my God, what is this?
Targeting Jackson and all of West Tennessee, Wolf hosted and put together a broadcast and marketing team that successfully put Kix 96 at the top of the ratings. The station successfully managed to create a flagship for Wolf Enterprises, the African American community in West Tennessee, and an entertaining station that reached well beyond the African American community.
A lot of white people like Kix 96. Just for example, we subscribe to the Arbitron ratings, always have. Kix far and away has got the most listeners in any given geographic area you want to talk about. Say, let's talk about Madison County. Kix has pretty much doubled, and always has, the number of listeners of any other radio station. Well, historically, 15% of that is white.
Kix 96 and Super Wolf not only touched the city of Jackson, but used his personality and airwaves to encourage community involvement, positive youth messages, and drives promoting health, academic success, and political participation by the black community. James Wolf's commitment to his dream of having a place in West Tennessee broadcast was fulfilled because of his talent, relationships, and vision. His community benefited, and he merits a special place in Tennessee broadcasting.
The one thing I can say about the whole thing is that it changed the landscape of people. To educate and to inform was first and foremost.
Many broadcasters seek opportunity. James Wolfe created his own. That's just one of the reasons West Tennessee thinks he's super. And we are super proud to welcome James Wolfe to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
I thank God. It's what I always say, because I do thank God for allowing me to be at this podium tonight and to receive this award. Thanks to the organization, the Radio Hall of Fame, for this honor bestowed, and my wife, Denise Osell, she just had a gold record stolen after a funeral. She was eulogized on the 8th day of January on Elvis Presley's birthday. And the funeral took place because of the ice and snow at Inglewood Baptist Church in Jackson, Tennessee, a European church that worked real well with us. We had over 1,500 people present at the funeral. And the one thing I can say about this dream that I had was shared by her and witnessed by many on this day, on the 15th day of January, when she was eulogized at Inglewood Baptist Church, because it was in the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I am so happy to receive this award tonight. I wish she were here tonight, but she is not, but that's okay, because God has a better place there, because to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. I want to thank everybody for what you have done for me and for the vote of confidence that I've had, because see, when she was in the hospital, believe it or not, we both were in the hospital at the same time, but the Lord saw fit to take her, and we're both happy. Thank you very much for the honor bestowed.
Our final career inductee tonight has been rocking East Tennessee since 1990. Billy Kidd and his cast of characters have not only been rocking East Tennessee for all these decades, he has also, listen to this, he's also helped take WIMZ to the top spot in Knoxville ratings, defeating WIVK for the first time in 138 consecutive surveys. That's almost 38 years. We now salute the pride of WIMZ, Mr. Billy Kidd.
Billy, I want to let you know, before you were Midwest Radio family here, no, sorry, Mary.
The hell of a way to go, wasn't it?
Yeah. In 2018, you, Billy Kidd, are going to be inducted into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
Yeah!
The Billy Kidd broadcast story began near Cookeville, Tennessee. A proud graduate of the University of Tennessee, Billy was already an accomplished pro prior to taking his talents to Knoxville in 1990. He has been rocking East Tennessee ever since. When he began his legendary run in Knoxville, Billy hosted nights at 103.5 WIMZ. After 3 years, Billy took on Morning Drive with partner Phil Williams. Phil and Billy did very well in the ratings on 103.5 WIMZ, and Billy's cast of characters helped wake up Knoxville until 2001. Since then, Billy's been putting the hammer down for the ride home on Afternoon Drive. Billy Kidd is a proud patriot. supporting veterans' causes all year long. Billy took his motorcycle across the country, honoring and thanking stateside troops, delivering gifts, and taking East Tennessee hospitality throughout the nation. Since 1994, Billy Kid has been hosting a yearly benefit for the Knoxville 2nd Harvest Food Bank. Thanks to Billy's efforts, more than 30,000 meals have been served annually to those in need. His career has also led and served as an example within our industry.
Hi, I'm Jason Walker with Hits 96 in Chattanooga. Prior to Bill's success in Knoxville, he was the general manager of the former Jet 107 in Monterey. And there, I'm sure he doesn't remember this, but I sure do. He hired me when I was 18 years old. I thank you, Bill, and my children thank you for my 29-year career. And congratulations from all of us for being part of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
Billy Kid spearheads the East Tennessee Toy Run with over 1,000 bikers participating to help collect toys for kids at Christmas. Billy's afternoon show on WIMZ not only rocks Knoxville, it rocks the ratings.
103.5 WIMZ. John Boy and Billy Mornings. Extra long blocks of classic rock all day and qualifying you to win that Stingray boat. Another chance coming up before I get out of here tonight. Don't forget tonight, 9
Billy
o'clock.
routinely hits #1 in key demos and continues his contributions to Knoxville, both on and off the air. It is our honor, as broadcasters and Tennesseans, to welcome Billy Kid to the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
Yeah, thanks for not letting me have to brag about our radio station just kicking #1 right there and everybody in Knoxville, Tennessee. That is awesome. Wow. I have no business being here, I will tell you. There are so many radio luminaries and peers in this house right now. Mike Beverly, my friend Randy Chambers, program director, Randy Ross, and so many others that totally deserve, and many, many other people that I've worked with in radio for 35 years that need to be here before me. But I certainly appreciate this. Started out as a little radio guy back in 1980. Worked at a little daytimer, AM 1600 on the AM dial. I don't even think they have 1600 anymore, do they? It's like you can only go to like 1590 and there's no 1600 left. But anyway, I did that and worked my way up, and I wanted to be in radio. I was always enthralled by the whole propagation of radio waves, and I love it. And now our radio station has come full circle. We're the #1 radio station in Knoxville, and hopefully we will remain to be that way. But I tell you right now, and I really appreciate everybody coming out from my hometown, Livingston, Tennessee. My father's here, Bill Winningham. My real name's Winningham, William Winningham. And my father, Senior, is right there too. And I thank you so very much for coming up here tonight. And appreciate you hanging in, because my dad was like, when I told him 35 years ago, I said, I think I want to be a radio guy. He's like, what? But anyway, it seems to have worked out. But I'm really a radio person in and out, and I really appreciate everybody. And congratulations to everyone who's won all your awards tonight. You're so very, very deserving of everything, and thank you so much. And I hope you all have a great night. Thanks.
Well, we've already saluted Joe Sullivan and his success at WMAK. But now we're going to take a look and a listen to part of what made them so very special and what makes WMAK our legendary station of the year.
The Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame presents the legendary Station of the Year.
WMAK, Nashville, WMAK.
Stay tuned to WMAK, it's 1300 all the way.
WMAK,
WMAK. Your dial is set where you're gonna get your music and news all day. In Nashville, WMAK.
Plenty music, plenty bright, plenty news that's plenty right. Plenty things are happening on WMAK. WMAK 1300. Listen to me, baby, I've got news for you. Listen to me, baby, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tune to the brightest sound around on WMAK 1300, 1300.
Close your eyes and listen to the Beatles. They're having a ball right here with us. WMAK to 1300. The fastest thing in the air. 1300 WMAK. WMAK, where the action is. You get a positive charge out of 1300 WMAK.
The Music City Sound. 1300 Music WMAK. Mighty Mac, Mighty Mac, Mighty Mac, Mighty Mac, the Nashville sound of 1300 WMAK. 1300
WMAK. Nashville sound.
John Young. John Young here on WMAK Radio, and you've snowed me with your charm and beauty and grace, and it's too late to turn back now. You're stuck with me all summer. This is Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose.
Let's go with the All-Americans on 1300 WMAK.
Turn your mind off, baby. Feel the fun vibrations of 1300 WMAK. It's fun!
Hark, the music fills the air. Holiday cheer from WMAK. It's the holiday season on 1300 WMAK. WMAK. 1300 WMAK. He's on!
Johnny Walker.
Here's part 3 of a Johnny Walker treble play.
The All-Americans present Scott Shannon with more hit music.
WMAK.
It's set out tune with your ever love a little hell.
Nashville. WMAK. Weather. Coyote McLeod. MAK.
Yes, Coyote McLeod, Friday night, good time, rock and roll, record, radio, show, environment, fun. How does a kid do it on $12 a week review? Chock full of good time, rock and roll, and fun, fun, fun!
Murphy in the morning. WMAK.
That's all, folks.
All right, we've got some WMAK alums that are going to join us up here just a little bit and share just a little bit about their excitement, and I hope their fun that they had working for WMAK. Hey, Gary Beatty.
Hey, how are you?
Doing just fine. Welcome on up.
Oh, thank you. First of all, congratulations to Skip Woolwine and Chip Chapman. Best return on investment of the evening. Great show. Great production, guys. And congratulations to Charlie Muck. That's the best speech you never gave. I can't tell you when, as a 14-year-old, leaving home to go to my first job in my hometown, my mom said, "Son, you'll always have one listener." I said, "Thanks, Mom." She said, "Yeah, Dad will have the radio on." In my wildest dreams, I never thought I would wind up at a place like WMAK just by sheer luck, and that's all I can say that it was. It does my heart good to see an old school top 40 radio station finally be honored here at the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. I think it was the greatest radio station I've ever worked at. Pardon my French, but I loved it. Some alums here from MAK. Kevin Bass over there. Kevin Bass, newsman, and John Young, you saw him. Mike Bohan supplied all the jingles. He saved them. He's the librarian for MAK. And Charles Chase. And until I got to MAK, I don't think I ever decided I wanted to be in radio. And as Scott Shannon so eloquently stated on the tape, working with and for Joe Sullivan, he was just a different kind of person who allowed you to develop. And we wanted to do two things when we got to MAK with Joe. We wanted to have fun, and we did. And we wanted it to be meaningful, and it was. Thank you. Gentlemen, would you like to say something? John, Mike, Charles?
A special thank you to Joe Sullivan. I'll tell you why. A little over 46 years ago, my wife Karen and I were married in Knoxville. Joe's the PD at WMAK, and he arranged a hell of a room rate at Roger Miller's King of the Road Motor Inn for my honeymoon. Thank you, Joe.
I just want to say something real quick, too. I'm Mike Bohan. I was a kid in high school, in Isaac Litton High School, and I used to take the bus to come downtown to WMAK, my favorite station. I was just a kid. But Joe Sullivan gave me my first job, which was to go by Brooks Printing Company and pick up the Super Hit surveys on Fridays and take them to the record stores to be delivered to. You saw some of the surveys on that thing there. So Joe gave me my first job and allowed me to hang around with Super Shan at night, and I'm forever indebted. Thank you. And also some of the very first people I ever met way back in '68 was John Young and Gary Beatty. And they're still around. We're all still around. Hey, thank you very much.
Joe, one of the great gifts you gave me was just being a good human being, which sounds like, yeah, sure, okay, really? But honestly, in today's world, a lot of guys don't hear from their boss unless they've done something wrong. A lot of guys in management don't know the mind of a creative. They don't know how to feed and nurture talent, and they have a world of talent in their building. You treated us so well, and what I tried to do in my career was treat people like you treated me. Thank you very much.
There was one fellow who paid the bills, and he's here with us. He was our sales manager at WMAK, Dick Honeycutt. Honeycutt with 2 T's. Dick, thank you very much for paying the bills all those years. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, WMAK, the legendary station of the year. I think I agree with that. When I was in Nashville, I used to listen to WMAK myself. Well, have you had fun tonight? Good. Me too. Thank you very much for being here. We hope you'll come back next year. We'll have another class of inductees. We'll have some more fun. I would like to have a couple of things to remind you. First of all, if all the inductees will gather up here on the stage for the group photo immediately at the conclusion here. And also a reminder to you that the party doesn't have to be over. The Atrium Bar down in the hotel is going to remain open until midnight tonight. You got plenty of time. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Safe trip home, and we'll see everybody in 2019.